Hello YouTube, Reddit Math here, and welcome back to the Reddit Estate. A couple things to go over before we get a move on. First of all, I did not notice until after the last episode that a very cool addition to the characters that have cleared the darkest dungeon areas. You know, they're getting their handy torch symbol, some regalia behind them on their character portrait. But they are also no longer counting against our roster size, which is unexpected and really cool. I know there had been, and I was one of them, there had been a lot of people asking for larger rosters. The gripe from my perspective was always, I just wanted 2 of every class. Well, instead of giving you that, they kind of gave you get these characters that, like, they're going to stop taking up space once they kind of make it into retirement. And then if you need to bring them back out, you know, I could always run like a level 5 dungeon with these guys and get a little bit of gold. I think maybe if you were starting the campaign from scratch, it would be possible that you were in the darkest dungeon prior to clearing out all of the bosses from other areas. And so these guys could still be off and doing that. And so it's very cool. I have got some recruiting that I would like to actually be doing from the stagecoach right now. Unfortunately, this isn't it. I've got Hellions, I've got Lepers, I've got Plague Doctors, Highwaymen, and Jesters. What I really need to see, if I remember correctly, Crusader, and then I could use another Man-at-Arms, another Houndmaster, and I might, I think at this point, where I am right now, any and all occultists or vestals should probably be recruited. Unfortunately, none of those classes really available here. Now, another thing to discuss before we get started is that our next Darkest Dungeon foray is going to be exhausting. We can camp 4 times during it. I cannot imagine going into that without a healing class if it's going to be that long. And we don't have one. Vesley and Kaylee have both made it through the Darkest Dungeon whole and therefore are ineligible to go back. With that in mind, I'm going to head to the bench and we're going to end up picking up some of our level 5 characters just to take them out, see what there is to be seen. 2 of these characters you've likely not seen before, one being Hediart, our fancy smancy second abomination, and Dive Begulin, who is a replacement highwayman for some of our earlier deaths. Now this highwayman's skilled out to be a bit more melee focused as one of the 2 builds. I actually like both of the highwayman builds, like the ways of playing anyway, the melee and the ranged attacker. I think both of those can work fairly well. I want to see, so like he's got duelist advance to set up point blank shot, melee crit, and the Ancestor's Pen. Several of the ancestral trinkets have gotten kind of a pass recently, and they're a bit better than they were when they first came out. Melee crit, melee damage, I think that's totally good on a character where specifically we're going to be looking for crit chance to kind of make up for his melee damage just a little bit. Also, yeah, I had not noticed until I was reading a post on Reddit, but Pistol Shot has actually received a plus 25% damage versus marked bonus. So that last crew, when I was kind of talking about them as the 4 character classes that get bonuses from it, well, at least they're the 4 character classes that can mark and also get bonuses from it. But maybe the Highwayman has some place in that party as well. Actually, no, that's not quite the same as plus 100. I was like, does he replace an Arbalist? The answer is no. No, it does not. Okay, and with Hediart here, I've got him with the Lock of Fury, which is probably a trinket that has never been shown before, on my series at least, and the Ancestor's Scroll. I think this will work really well with the Abomination, considering his heal and stress heal. I know he's getting plus 10% stress damage, but I feel like the absolution benefit from it will sort of make up for that. And then, of course, we've got Mary with Demon's Cauldron, Evasion Incense, and Riviere with a Poisoned Herb and a Blasphemous Vial. I think getting these guys up to level 6, giving me the opportunity to bring in another Occultist, maybe even... Yeah, we don't have a Plague Doctor either. And I could see Battlefield Medicine being really helpful. You know, we don't have infinite bandages after all. And we have been encountering a lot of bleed in them. So I think I'm going to take these guys out, since really I'm just looking for two things. One, I need like 2 or 3 Resolve XP for each of these guys. And the other is I'd like to cycle the weeks to maybe start bringing in some lower level crews. There's a chance that I need to get another Vestal or another Occultist like all the way up to level 6 before we're able to finally tackle this. It depends. You know, we're one party wipe away from not having any more level 6 characters. So, oh god. That's the first time that's happened before. Does it always do that? No. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty then. So, in tackling the first Darkest Dungeon area, we are now losing our grip on reality a little bit. And things like that are happening. Okay. Let's get this back out there. And then, since all I'm really looking for is to pass time / get like 3 experience points. Ugh. Oh man, I like that one. It was like tendrils out of the water. I'm really thinking that I just take like a short dungeon. We could grab Hunter's Talon or a Sacrificial Cauldron. Let's head into the Warrens. I think we've seen enough of the coves lately. And we'll just see what there is to be seen. Get these guys all leveled up. Hopefully they don't come out of this with too much damage in them and are able to just be ready again for the very next week. Yeah, cannot be sold. Not looking to sell it. That was apparently an exploit that lasted like a day. Into the Warrens. We'll do... Man, I feel like I haven't been here in a while. Something like that. I'm not looking to take too much stuff. And then 10 seem... Well, no, whoa. This is short. This is short. Why am I... I've been in the Darkest Dungeon for too long. Okay. It's a short dungeon. I am not going to need, like, all of this stuff. The Warrens have... There's a holy water. Okay. That should be fine. I even think, like, 6 torches, totally good. Yeah. Let's kick it. Alright. Full of disease and blight in equal measure. We're well aware. That's why we brought a Plague Doctor. Yeah, I think as soon as this group gets leveled up, we'll be able to take another run at the Darkest Dungeon. And I'm not sure, like, this will be our 3rd. Is this the final? I don't know. If it is, then we may be done in the next episode.
They breed quickly down there in the dark. But perhaps we can slay them even faster.
And if it's not, then we may be in a lot of trouble as we have run out of party members in the next episode. Either are a distinct possibility. You know what? I was thinking, like, at first, I don't want to lose out on point blank shot, but really, plus 25% damage for... He just gets that on transformation now? That's
surges as the enemy
actually
crumbles.
really cool. I can dig that. I can totally dig that. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess we'll just damage debuff him a little bit.
Blow.
And finally, a little bit of that on you. Yeah, I think that's where we are, is either we're almost done, or if we're not almost done, we may end up in a situation where we have got to 7 to 12, 9 to 16, we dodged it. Where we have got to maybe level up some other guys just to get us back into the darkest dungeon again. Yeah. Oh man, picked up the worries off of that. Well, that's no good. 5 to 9, 5 to 10 with the bleed. Good. You're taking 10 damage per round. Again, I think I'm just going to stack up that debuff. So good. Yeah. And then we're taking 10. That would kill you. I don't need the abomination to do damage this turn. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to do that. Mostly for the stress heal, since I'm 14 with the trinket he has equipped. Very cool. There is actually... left him with 4. Well, we'll easily kill him. Not a big deal. There is one thing I would actually like to discuss about the game.
Has no intrinsic merit, unless inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue.
On the topic of completing everything, and the idea of New Game Plus, I can remove a negative quirk. Let's do you with a torch, right? There we go. Witness removed. Okay. Not really. It's fine.
Such blockages are unsurprising. These tunnels predate even the earliest settlers.
Okay. New Game Plus. New Game Plus has been added, but like not exactly in the way that I think of New Game Plus. From what I understand from just reading the patch notes, obviously I haven't played it yet. New Game Plus works like this. After beating the game, whenever you start a new game, you can decide whether or not you want to be starting a regular save or a New Game Plus save. And if you start a New Game Plus save, there are two things that are different. Let's look at it that way. There's more than that, but there are two branching paths to what is different. You know what? Let's try something like this. And no, this is it. The two branching paths are: one, you are locked in to all of the...
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
To all of the default options. You have to play with the darkest dungeon set of options turned on. And let me actually just really quickly here demonstrate that. Is that there's a check mark here, darkest dungeon config, and this, when turned off, then allows you to turn off stuff like corpses, stalling penalties, debuffs on death's door, retreats can fail, standard enemy crits, that stuff. Now, I've played with all that stuff on the whole time, so the idea that there's a game mode where you're quote-unquote forced to play with all of that on doesn't really mean anything to me. It doesn't actually change anything at all. The other thing that has been changed is the lose state.
The weapon that cuts on its own.
The lose state in the game, well, exists, to be quite honest, in the
As the
current...
fiend falls, a faint hope
Wayne,
blossoms.
I'm trying to have a conversation here, Wayne. The current state of the game, there is no lose state, right? Like, you can't be beaten back. You can always rally and persevere and keep coming back for more. New Game Plus adds 2 lose conditions, one of which being a time limit on how many weeks you have to beat the game, we would totally
Mechanical hazards possessed by evil intent.
not be succeeding on the basis of that time limit right now if we were playing on New Game Plus. The other lose condition that is introduced is on party loss of... Whoa. I just realized how much food I had for a short dungeon. Clearly that number has been increased and I just didn't notice and took the max amount. I did not need this much food. So let's eat a little bit of it. The other lose condition has become the loss of your heroes, and upon hitting 13, I believe, heroes killed, you will also lose, and we would not succeed on the basis of that either. If we were playing a New Game Plus, we would have already lost more than that many characters. Neither of those things really sounds all that exciting to me as it pertains to New Game Plus. The time limit, the lose conditions, everything else is just, well, stuff that I could choose to implement anyway. I have seen the blurb about, like, monsters are harder, but, like, no concrete details on that at all. And I'm not entirely sure if that's meant as they're harder because of the conditions that are turned on. What I would really like to see, and I'm throwing this out there because maybe you put a thought into, you know, the ether, and things have a way of coming to pass. What I would really like to see is a modification of the way New Game Plus works, and that modification would be more in line with what I think of when I think of New Game Plus in a game, right? Like, to me, what does that mean? That means that you're gonna start the game over again, but you're gonna, like, keep all the stuff that you had from your last game. That's how New Game Plus works, right? Like, the game becomes much harder, but you start much stronger. What I would be really interested to see is, oh man, a New Game Plus where, first of all, there is a file within the game that is actually, I think, fairly easy to modify. That is the starting roster JSON. That starting roster controls the roster you start with. It's those initial 4 characters whenever you make it back, or maybe just, yeah, I think you start with all 4 of them probably in your roster. You just only have Reynald and Dismas on the first mission. Let's go with, jeez, dodged. That's not cool at all. And so I think it should be possible when you go into New Game Plus to, just copy your, like, current roster file into the starting roster file. The formats are not the same. Like, it's not as simple as just copy paste. At least I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the current roster file, because it...
Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Because it holds so much more information relating to your current characters and stats and builds and experience points and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure it's a much more complex file that's not just in plain text in quite the same way the starting roster file is. However, I don't see any reason that it wouldn't technically be possible, like, to copy back and forth between those two. Let's actually get you back into that form. I want to get at least 1 stress heal on you here. I do think I've been playing a little bit sloppy, but also I definitely see these guys needing to de-stress after this dungeon, kind of regardless of what happens here. and that is going to be the end of you. And 7, 12. Doesn't really matter though. Let's just do that.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Now, obviously, if you were to just start a new game with all of your level 6 characters, you would steamroll it, right? Like, that would make the game really easy. To which, the other thing that I would kind of like to see is the... what do Eldritch Ultras do? Do I remember this? I do not. Holy Water? I think Holy... or is this the one that's a buff? I'm going to leave it because I don't recall. What I would kind of like to see to compensate for that is just the game sort of start geared towards like the level 5 dungeons.
Ancient traps lie in wait, unsprung and thirsting for blood.
Now what that would do, we are out of torches. We're going to burn down to fairly low light by the time we get out of this place. Now, if the level 1 dungeons were just as hard, or maybe slightly easier than the current level 5 dungeons, I think that would make for sort of an interesting change there. And it would also sort of give you a lose state, but a slightly more organic one from my perspective. The idea there being that if the level 1 dungeons were just as hard as previous level 5 dungeons, you would really never be able to level up a Seeker character again, like a level 0. I don't have any holy water, so I'm just going to walk past that. And so a new game plus where you had to beat the entire game again with the roster that you brought over from your current game. Like, that's basically what you would be looking at. And I think that is a game style, or a game mode, perhaps, that I would be interested in playing, and I think would actually be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't have the technical acumen to accomplish all of those things. I think you would need really 2 things. The mechanical, that will eventually kill him.
Press disadvantage.
You would need the
no quarter.
Mechanical transference of your current roster into your new roster. However, that would get accomplished. And then beyond that, you would be looking at basically a total game conversion of difficulty. There might be some really simplistic rule or algorithm that you could come to that would just sort of, increase all of the enemy's health by X or something like that. That might be able to, like, health damage, etc., by a certain percentage amount, like maybe it doubles or something that could get it done. Alternatively, I guess you could just replace all of the dungeon files. Actually, this would probably be easier from a technical standpoint again. Ooh, poor dodge. You could probably just
continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Make the harder enemies appear in the lower level dungeons, right? To where, like the ancient spitter that we just fought would now be in a level 1 dungeon, a level 3 dungeon, and a level 5 dungeon. That actually might not be that hard. It's possible it gets a little repetitive. Also, I did not swap you guys, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to kind of waste a turn with that, and then I can go over, and that's what I'll have to do. Actually, no, I should have transformed you. I am dumb at the moment. Sorry. My train of thought is trying to make it into the station, prior to us ending this particular dungeon. You could probably just bring those enemies over. And I don't know, that might get a little boring, perhaps. But that would be a pretty easy way to do it. And then you would just lift the restriction on hero level, which is a fairly easy file to edit, actually. Where you just change there's like a max level that can go into a specific dungeon level file. It's just a config file. You would change that, and then you would be able to bring your level 6s into a level 1 dungeon that had all level 5 enemies in it. I wonder if that could work. I wonder if I could make that. I don't have, just so we're all clear here, I don't have any like modding experience from games like Jagged Alliance 2 that I'm playing on my channel as well. I've tinkered around with stuff like, you know, the INI file with all of these various settings in XML formats and creating custom starting equipment files based on different schemas before. You know, like I want to play a campaign where all my characters have like the actual issued military gear of the US Marine Corps, and like I've gone through and built that in my spare time just because, you know, I'm playing video games on the internet. I'm kind of a giant video game nerd. But I've never like made a mod before. I think the
mortality clarified in a single strike.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing that's gonna happen. Okay, hopeless. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not paying as much attention to really what's going on here as I should be, but I think it's still gonna be okay. 3. Let's just do a quick survey of everyone. Yeah. All right, let's weaken you. The only thing that I don't just know how to do is the copying of the roster file. I know.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Oh, good. I know there is a
Dazed, reeling.
Jesus,
about to
27?
break.
Really? I know there is a starting roster file that controls your starting roster somehow. And I know
A victory, perhaps a turning point.
that there is a current roster file, you know, held somewhere within inside your save. Maybe this could be something that I could try to do. Wow, that was actually big and we don't need it at all. Something I could try to do once the official mod support
The slow
happens.
death, unforeseen, unforgiving.
Let's continue, just check this out. I think it'll be all heirlooms and we won't care. Yep, all heirlooms and we don't care. Red Hook has said, like, they're not in the...
Their squeals fade. Their confidence is shaken.
in the finished state as far as mod support is concerned, that they intend to get the game to where more and more of the inner workings are not built into the engine, but rather configuration files that are in plain text and are easily editable. That they were done in the way that they were done just for the ease of creating the game in the game engine, but that they're, now that it's released, they can start pulling that stuff out. That might not be bad. I'm finding all of the Slayer traits to maybe be worth actually locking in. We've obviously got a bunch of stress to get rid of. That's a thing that we'll do before the next mission.
Curiosity, interest, and obsession. Mile markers on my road to damnation.
Lovely. Do we get... Crusaders, Vestals, Occultists. These are the classes I seek. Unfortunately, none of them here. Well, alright, these guys are all going to need some rest and relaxation time. I'm still not really at the point where I've got a party of level 6s to take out. So next time, it'll probably be this level 3/4 crew, trying to get them out there. Alternatively, I mean, I could take just like some throwaways and maybe attach the portrait to Pesh here and see if we can't skyrocket her up through the ranks. I don't know. Do I benefit much from really having like another bounty hunter or another crusader? Maybe not. Maybe I just do need to be trying to get the seeker leveled up. Well, I'll take a little bit of time to think about that. And you take a little bit of time to think about all the stuff that I've talked about. I'd love to hear any of your feedback. If any of you have the technical know-how to explain to me maybe how I could do that current save game roster export and get it then into the starting roster file. If somebody could solve that for me, like that would probably be my season 2 of this game, as I would go through and mod that to create that kind of experience. And we would just have the party we started with when we started, and it would be up to us to make it to the end before everyone died. I think it would be interesting, at least. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to subscribe for more on the channel every day. Leave a like or a comment if you have anything to say about this or any of my other videos, and I will catch you guys next time.